We certainly want to thank everyone for tuning in. I'm Larry McReynolds with Fox NASCAR, and we were hoping to have the world famous Goodyear blimp here today, but a lot like those 40 cars that are preparing for this Daytona 500, it's getting its final tune-up for all of its big races that's coming up. But as you can see, we do have some support vehicles here that keep that blimp team moving around the country for all the races this year. Now I want to welcome Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of Hendrick Motorsports, number 88 car, and Seth Klugers, Director of Marketing for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And we're here to share a really important announcement. So Seth, let's turn it over to you to see about the big news.
Thank you very much, Larry. We at Goodyear are very excited to extend our existing relationship with Dale Jr. Dale is a true expert who relies on his tires to perform at the highest of levels, both on the track and off the track. The creative collaboration between Goodyear and Dale Jr. was really a natural fit.
Dale, what does this announcement truly mean to you? You've been involved with Goodyear for so many years.
Yeah, Goodyear's been a huge part of our sport for so long, and the dedicated tire manufacturer for NASCAR at the Cup level, and we rely on their durability and their development and expertise every time we get inside the car, and it's awesome to be able to be a part of the process and developing tires and helping them understand what we're learning on the racetrack, and to be able to take that out and put it on the street tires they sell to customers every day.
All right, so now if you could now direct your attention to the screen in the front of the room for the debut of the newest Goodyear commercial featuring Dale Earnhardt Jr.
I was made in the shadows of greatness, shaped by the hands of legacy, forged in the fires of racing. I've been challenged, tested, and proven. Whether it's on that track or off, the truth is, what you're made of is what you're made to do.
Well, Dale, you've been a part of a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
What did you think about this spot?
I love the idea of the spot from the very beginning, and we shot that locally at Concord Motor Speedway. I actually had turned some laps in my career a few times. It was a lot of fun to shoot, and it really turned out well. I think it's, it sort of speaks on the history of Goodyear and how the tires are made and how they kind of take a life of their own. But they did a good job of the spot, and it turned out really well.
Now, Seth, Goodyear, they've done some really interesting commercials over the years, but what is your take on this particular one?
Yeah, we're thrilled, as Dale alluded to, really that mutual passion of the sport and the Goodyear tires really showed through brilliantly.
All right, so we have a few questions, and I'm going to throw a few at you, Dale, and they've come from the media. Growing up around the track, what did Goodyear mean to you? I mean, this is your 17th season in Sprint Cup alone. Yeah,
they've just, they're an icon in the sport, and it's been fun to try to understand and learn and grow with the relationship, and they're out there trying to produce a great tire for us to be able to put on great races, and there's a lot of communication, good communication going back and forth between the drivers and NASCAR and Goodyear on the direction the tires are going and how to improve the tires, and because the tires really have a huge effect on the sport and what the racing looks like to the customer who's watching. So it's a great relationship. It's always a moving target. The tracks are always changing. The surface of the tracks are always changing. So the tires are always changing for Goodyear. It's a very tough challenge that they have each year, trying to provide us with the best tire they can, and they do a great job.
All right, our next question. We know how short a commercial can be, but we also know how long it can take to shoot a commercial like that. Was there anything unique that happened on the set while shooting this commercial?
You know, those commercials take a lot of hours. There's just a lot of people. You know, you show up and you're going to shoot this 15 or 30-second spot, and there'll be a couple hundred people running around making things happen. It was a very big production that we had out there this year, and lasted on into the middle of the night. You got to shoot some scenes throughout the afternoon, and as the sun's in a certain spot in the sky, they got to get this shot done in this little window and so forth. So it was very smooth and high production, and I think a high quality spot.
All right, we know all the media, they want to know. We know your fans want to know. Nobody had a better average finish at the restrictor plate races last year than Dale Earnhardt Jr. Not only did you win two, your average finish in those 4 races, 1.75. And you got the car that you had a lot of the success with here, Amelia, we're calling it.
Right.
How do you feel? I know we got the dual race, but how do you feel about Sunday?
You know, I'll be really excited if we're on the starting grid Sunday and I've got Amelia there beside me. That car's just been amazing, as you said, over the last year. We ran that car 4 times in the season last year. We also won the 150 duel with that car as well. So it's got a heck of a track record. It's very fast, obviously, starting in our second in our duel and 3rd overall in qualifying. So the car still has great speed comparable to the competition, and as long as it does, we'll keep bringing it back to the track. But we feel good about our opportunity Sunday. As long as we can get through the practices and the duel in one piece, we'll be in good shape.
And let me remind you, if you do win the Daytona 500, you can forget running that car the rest of the year because it's going to stay in Daytona.
I don't have any problem with that. If we get that win, we'll definitely lend that old car to Daytona for the whole year and go try to build us another one.
All right, going back to the commercial spot, Dale, did you really grasp what story was trying to be told with this commercial? There's definitely a storyline there.
Yeah, it was sort of, it's sort of going on how a tire's made from start to finish and how a driver's career is made from start to finish, and the fact that a driver relies on the tire throughout his career and builds that relationship. But it's just, both of them, Goodyear has a huge passion for the sport, and obviously if you're a race car driver, you definitely have that passion as well, and they go hand in hand, and I think the commercial does a great job of reflecting that.
I think we take for granted that these race cars weigh 3,300 pounds, and the only thing connecting them to that racetrack are those 4 Goodyear tires.
Yeah.
I know you've won 2 Daytona 500s, you've got 26 Sprint Cup Series wins, you've won 2 Xfinity Series championships on Goodyear, but is there a favorite moment that when you think about your career about Goodyear?
They've been on our cars in all those wins. Throughout all the success we've had, they've been a huge part of this sport, and one of my favorite things about Goodyear is how dedicated they are. The trophy that you get from Goodyear at the end of the year when you particularly win the championship is quite amazing, and one that I'd love to get a hold of. Dad had several of those in the house, and I thought those were the coolest things when I was a little kid. But it's a relationship that we depend on, and obviously we want a safe tire, but we also want a tire that we enjoy, and we work with Goodyear day in and day out to try to produce that. And it's a moving target for Goodyear and a very tough situation to be in, especially with the rules changing year to year. Goodyear has to evolve as the cars and the rules evolve. When speeds change in the middle of the corner, Goodyear has to change, and so it's a very difficult job that they do to try to produce us a great racing tire. And they do it year in and year out, and we work really hard with them to help them accomplish that goal. So it's a very trusted relationship, and that's why they've been in the sport and been the only tire supplier in the sport for most of NASCAR's existence.
Well, Dale, we know you've got a busy schedule, and we thank you for being a part of this. And Seth, I want to thank you personally for being a part of my career for 20 years working on these race cars and being able to win the Daytona 500 in 1998 with Dale's dad, Dale Earnhardt Sr. And we want to thank you for tuning in. And remember, 12 noon on Sunday, Fox NASCAR, the 58th running of the Daytona 500. It will be our 13th Daytona 500 to be broadcasting on Fox. Thank you.